So up next, we have the president of Burpple, who will be serving us a talk about how to build an exciting career and experience in startups, all right? So he's, of course, none other than Mr. Macarthur Tan. So please join me, everyone that we have here, give your highest level possible round of applause for Mr. Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, JobStreet. Thank you for the nice introduction, and thank you, everyone who made this possible. And I'd like to thank my team and everybody involved for making this gachapon and everything happen. It's so exciting to be here, and I really hope that everybody will feel energized and excited about how we could pursue an exciting experience and career in a startup, right? So it's a privilege to address all of you today as president of the company. And as our startup being a forefront of bridging the online to offline gap for the food industry, I'm here today to talk to you how we can build an exciting and fulfilling career in a startup. Much like our gachapon machine, the speech today is written with intelligence. Some might say artificial or not. Well, so I think the first thing to address is what is a startup, right? So according to LinkedIn, it is a young company that has a potential to grow and scale very fast and meet a particular market consumer need. So hence, Exhibit A, which is Burpple. So it's humble bragging time, and for the uninitiated, this is what Burpple is all about. I think we have a short video to show you guys as to what it is.
Do you love food? Know all the good places to eat? Well, something big is coming to a city near you, and that is Burpple. Burpple is an all-in-one app that shows you the best places to eat, and you can guarantee that the reviews are honest and legitimate because they were created by users just like you. What are you waiting for? Download Burpple today. Available on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Huawei App Gallery.
So, all of you who haven't downloaded the app, please do so now. It's your opportunity to. And of course, with our nice gachapon machine there, you can get some nice snacks and surprises in store for you. All right. So, next thing is you see this advert, and the next thing we address is, what does Burpple exist for? And we're here really to connect all the food lovers to everyday people and help each one of them to share the joy through food. So we really want to invoke that feeling of joy when it comes to that experience, and this is what we live and breathe for in Burpple. But I guess it brings me back to the topic on hand, which is then how does that translate to an exciting career and experience in startup, right? So then I guess next thing you know is you did the first step, which is to come to the right place, because JobStreet has really provided a really good platform to sort of understand what's in the market, like what are the job options available, and info sessions like this. So showing up, you already did step one, right? But I guess at the crux of it all, it brings me to the next point, which I need to bring to, which is called knowing yourself, right? So you got to know who you are to find whether the job that you want fits you, right? You got to understand who you are, and maybe raise of our hands, how many of you think I'm a friendly guy? Whoa, I think I have to work harder to be more friendly then. But yeah, I mean, as shown on the slides, I'm an introvert, and of course, not naturally friendly, but through the experiences, I try to walk out of that comfort zone, and but when you know who you are and where your strengths are, it's easier to sort of find where your gaps are or play up to your strengths, right? So I challenge each one of you to sort of find your strength and what makes you tick, right? I mean, these are superficial things, These are just fun nuggets about myself. My father is called Arthur, and Mac is actually son of in Scottish and Gaelic. So I'm literally son of Arthur. So my experience has been mainly through corporates, serve on investment holding companies, and doing very traditional businesses. So it's quite a pivot for me to do a startup. Part of my identity, I'm a husband and I'm a father of two. I'm an introvert. I really encourage all of you to do Enneagram test, Strengths Finder, and all that to really find out, what really motivates you and what really drives you and what your strengths are and sort of play up to that, right? So apart from what's on the screen, I really implore all of you to really go for internships, try new things. I went through that journey. I tried the corporate route, after which you come to discover yourself and to what you look for. After a while, you think it's money, but then again, after a while, you think that, hey, it's not money, it's more fulfillment, it's more of what gives you happiness, and then the trade-off for money, it's not that worth it, right? So yeah, go out and discover. It's a journey. It's not a point A kind of thing, right? But then beyond knowing yourself, I guess that I need to point out that the startup experience is not for everyone, right? So after knowing yourself, do you prefer stability or do you prefer something that is ever constantly changing, right? So, I laid out here, a quick comparison. It's not exhaustive, but it's a quick comparison between a startup and a big MNC, right? And personally, I did an internship in KPMG. Like the earlier speakers shared, the traditional business route is accountant, doctors, professional services. So I did a stint in KPMG. And although everything it's bigger, everything it's fast and efficient, but I do find myself having a narrower scope in terms of what I cover, right? As compared to a startup where, it's all hands on deck most of the time, and everybody has to do something beyond their scope, right? You're not just a marketer, you're not just doing digital marketing, you're operating events and gachapon machines, right? So in terms of that, I think, scope-wise, if you're comfortable with knowing what you need to do and executing, then MNC it's suitable for it. Right? But if you want to really get your hands dirty and try everything, then a startup might be a more suitable platform. And also to the next point, the ability to move around and try new roles. I think so. Our product manager has done marketing, our business development has done events, and our social media manager has done community meetups and marketing as well. So it is really a very good testing ground for you to get exposed to many experiences. But on the other hand, for bigger corporations, they are very big on career progression. They have you chart out how your career is going to look like, and therefore you really have a fixed route into what you're going to do for the next year, what you're growing into. So then again, it boils down to the question, who are you? Do you like certainty or do you like uncertainty? Do you want to try new things or do you like structure because business practices are put in place? Whereas for a startup, one thing I like to say is change is a constant. So things are always ever evolving. There's nothing that stays the same, even structure-wise. Today you can be under the marketing team, but next day you can be under the data team, right? So really. Just a forward, in terms of before you decide startup or corporate, you have to be comfortable with rules changing a lot. Progression is not guaranteed. So these are the things you got to know yourselves if you're comfortable with before you're doing, right? So beyond that, if let's say after this stage, it's like, okay, I'm raring to go, I want to be in a startup, right? And then how do I make it exciting? How do I make it worth my while, right? And then, so that goes to what next, right? So in a startup, I think there are a few key areas to which I think startup values and which plays in part to the whole experience of an individual as well, right? And this also boils down to the key events that JobStreet will be holding into knowing yourselves, right? But First thing is mindset, which is what I think has been echoed between Lewis and David in the earlier sessions. Is basically, it's just not about your technical skills. It's not about what you know. It's really about your mindset, right? You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you come in without the right mindset, you still have a non-exciting, flat career in a startup, right? So I think first thing, you gotta be hungry, right? I mean, I know it's lunchtime, all this delicious food is making people hungry, but yeah, I feel you. But let's not talk about hungry in a physical aspect, delicious food aside. I think beyond the physical sense, hunger, we want to talk about in terms of growth, right? So growing can come in many forms. There's no fixed formula to growing. Just seek out new experiences, try new things, and you really have to accept that, like echoing what the CEO for NYC said just now, there's no certainty, right? You will face failures in the course, right? And part of it that makes things exciting is how you accept the failure, right? So go try, go fail, right? I mean, don't be afraid of failure. I think the first few times, I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna be cool. Like, I have this rad idea I'm gonna try out, and then it gets shot down. But it's part of the experience, and after that, you'll be exciting. Say, hey, how could I refine this? How could I make it cool? How could I do all that? So don't be afraid of failure, and have that growth mindset, because failure is not the full stop. It's just a comma, right? And it brings you onto the journey that really shapes who you are. And I think the beauty of operating in a startup is that there are not many layers that you have to go through. You could just seek feedback, people can just come up to my door, just talk to me, and you don't have to go through my manager, my VP before you come to the president, right? So just have that attitude to grow and attitude to learn. And I think it will come naturally and organically, that excitement and that fulfillment when it comes to working in a startup, right? Thankfully, I think my team, I'm really proud of them. The people at Burpple, they really do take initiative to seek out opportunities to learn and grow. They seek out experiences beyond the platform, and also constantly come up with suggestions on how do we do things better, on trying new things, and bringing their own lens into the business as well. Right. So mindset, I think it's really important, and is what sets the foundation as to what makes an exciting career in a startup, right? Next is your purpose, which is why it boils down to who you are, what makes you tick, what keeps you up from the bed every day. For me, it's food, coffee, and food, and alcohol. So, yeah, I think really have a clear sense of purpose, understand the values and the mission of the company and how it ties in with you, because from there it becomes easy, because you understand how you can provide value, and everybody's happy because the organization sees your value, feels your energy, and you can very easily articulate how you're contributing, and that contribution really feeds off that energy and adds to the excitement, right? So at Burpple, we want to be that go-to platform to form joyful connections. So for many people in the organization, this manifests in different ways, right? I mean, if you talk about the product team, it's really talking to users to make it a better experience for them. And really, my colleagues have really fed back to me that, hey, in our user interviews, or even when we do events like this, where we talk to the users and they share that, hey, I use Burpple in this way, and I managed to benefit from the membership, and it has helped me find a place for date nights. It really brings that sort of purpose and fulfillment. And if you can understand that, and then that will make it very easy for you to be excited about what you're doing every day in a startup, right? Then from the other side of the business, because we do engage restaurants, so then our business development team, they'll be saying, hey, talking to the restaurants, hearing their pain points, fixing their pain points, and seeing them get more traffic, more business to the restaurants, and that brings them joy, right? So I think at the essence of the DNA, I think purpose would generate joy, and the DNA of Burpple, what we want to do is to bring that joy to users, to restaurants, to our staff, our colleagues, and hopefully to the ecosystem. And the common language for that, we believe, is food, right? So find your purpose, go there, understand yourself more, after that, go in on your interests, and soon it will be a very easy step for you as to how it becomes really exciting for an individual as to having a fulfilling and exciting career in a startup, right? So I'm conscious of time, so let's move on to the next point, which is network, right? Building a career in startups require you to always network around you. It means attending events like this. It means participating in online communities, trying new things like trying TikTok, Telegram, Instagram. Seeking out people in the industry, seeking out partners, going on LinkedIn, and all that. So I guess at Burpple, we recognize the importance of this networking and this building of relationships. And that's why, thanks to our community manager, Rain, we have a very vibrant community of food lovers and partners, right? And we encourage our team to constantly engage with our community and our partners and learn from each other. And beyond that, I think, being purely just learning from consumers, we can learn from partners such as JobStreet as well. We had really good experience working with Madeline from JobStreet, right? And, we do learn a lot of things from each other in terms of holding events, and what is required. And from there, it gets me excited because I'm not pigeonholed into a role where I'm in my silo, I just do my accounting work or I just do my, marketing work. I get to meet people, I get to do different things. I think our data analyst is out there somewhere, also meeting our users. So it does provide that sort of, network effect. And I think beyond that, like shared earlier in the earlier talks, network is what is something that it's kind of like a soft thing you can bring along with you in your journey. So it doesn't mean that it ends at your startup experience. You can progressively bring it to your next career. It's something that belongs with you. It's something that not people can take away from you, right? So network-wise, it's really, you never know who you will meet and how it will come to your lives, right? So for me personally, in terms of network, I have made partnerships with people whom I played water polo with, even on opposing teams. I have made partnerships with friends I just met on the streets, who are running F&Bs and have progressed to other departments, right? And or even friends from your uni days who decided to come up to do a restaurant, right? So never underestimate how important network is. And often in times, I always realize in retrospect that, hey, I'm so glad to have met this person. I'm so glad to have met with this partner, right? And I believe that for a startup, that gives you the platform to do it, and that helps you sort of gives you more opportunity to meet people from different grades, right? So then, I guess maybe to sort of wrap things up, right? In conclusion, find out about yourself and know, learn and grow, seek feedback and become a pro, and build network, rhythm, and flow. So I wish you all the best in your hunt for the next career. I wish you all the best in whatever you're engaged on. And really just have good luck and have fun.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Tan. So we actually have time for a couple of questions. So maybe let's just scooch over to the center. So the very first question was actually posed even before you started your presentation, and I think it's more of the POV from an employer.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so this, I guess, is maybe something that as a startup, is there a difference between a startup and a corporation that's already set up in that sense, more organized? How do you as a employer view mental health in your employees? Like, is it something that you need to take note of earlier on, and how do you navigate through that as an employer?
That's a good question. I think we do take mental health very seriously. I mean, to be really honest, as a startup, we do have limited resources. So what we could offer really is a very good environment for colleagues to really do their work. And which is also why it boils back to, aligning with the vision which I shared earlier, because that and the mental health aspect really gives you that push and the motivation to really do your work, right? So as an employer, I mean, we often, the good thing about a startup is it's really easy to do check-ins, right? You don't have to institutionalize it. You don't have to say that, hey, we have to have a structure where we check on mental health, right? So we always have open conversations, over lunch, or it could be a deliberate session to say that, hey, I want to talk to you about something, where we could really discuss, hey, what are you going through in life? And I'm always happy to share my experiences from my perspective without pushing my opinion onto that. But I think, as an organization, we also acknowledge that, and we take feedback from the team and say that, hey, maybe work from home is something we could explore. If let's say you really want to do something, go ahead and do it, right? I won't stop you, because that helps in how people unwind in mental health, or how they process things, right? So we do recognize different people have different ways, but we allow the flexibility to allow that, which versus a corporate, I can't say for corporates, but it might be harder to sort of institutionalize something like that. But when it comes to startup, it's just, you want to do it, you can do it. You have the flexibility, right?
So in general, mental health is an open and honest and ongoing conversation in the office. Okay, that's great. Well, I hope that answered your question. And of course, we are open to the floor. Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Macarthur Tan, President of Burpple? We only have time for one more question, so this would be your only opportunity to grab, all right? Okay, if not, then I have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so what made you go from being an employee to wanting to start your own startup?
Right. That's a very interesting question. Hopefully, I don't go to a long grandmother story, but I think in Singapore, especially, you're really pushed into the rat race, right? And you've always been told that, hey, your steps is to get a degree, to graduate as a professional, and you work your way up that ladder, right? And admittedly, I've been put into that situation myself, right? But then again, it's very easy to lose yourself in that process. Fortunately for me is that, like what I said about network, and fortunately for me, my external network has really provided me a lens into what is beyond the professional rat race. And it's only through that, and then you start to reflect a bit more about yourself and introspectively think that, hey, why am I waking up every morning and dressing myself up in suit and tie? And going to work, right? And then you start thinking about, who you are, and that's when I started doing all that personality tests, understanding myself more, what makes me tick. So I think what I shared earlier is really very largely based on my personal experience. And soon enough, I found myself thinking, hey, I started feeling like a cog in a big machine, and I wanted to effect change, and I couldn't because of all the layers. But that's just restricted to my experience in working in a bigger firm. It could be different for different bigger organizations. But for that sort of started me reflecting. And then I started discovering, hey, that led me to arrive and saying, hey, I want to bring joy to people, right? And I want to really evoke that sense of joy in terms of what I do. And that's what keeps me waking up every day, because hey, today, how many people's lives am I going to touch to provide them joy by discovering the right food, allowing them to have that shookness of a deal, and all this is something that you feel like, oh wow, I'm creating an impact, right? And yeah, so personally, my journey is as such, and it is a very long road to discovery. I can't say that I just woke up and know that, hey, that's what I'm going to do.
If only it was that easy,
yeah,
right?
if only it was that easy, that everybody would. So yeah, you do really have to go out there and try, and really, I failed many times, in roles where, I tried and, it's really not suitable, right? And you are who you are, and just understanding yourself in that and coming to peace with that, it's really a good first step, yeah, to discover.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. We have time for probably that one last question. Sir, your question? Any steps to follow to turn a project into a startup, correct? Okay.
Well, yeah, I think that is a magical question that everybody's trying to answer, right? I think long story short, right, is there is no magical formula, there is no magical steps, right? It's really depending on your idea for a startup or what that is, what landscape is it. There are too many variables involved, timing of the market, macroeconomic conditions, right? But, I mean, it's not to say that there's none. There are frameworks that you could adopt, from 0 to 10 employees. These are things that would give you a higher percentage of success. 10 to 50, the considerations are different. And there's a lot of literature out there that you can read. There are a lot of resources like Blinkist and all that for you to really have a condensed view on that. But really, there is no magical formula, because if not, everybody will just be following that formula and you'll see like 1,000 unicorns on the streets. But like I said, again, the whole process is not about the end state. I think it's also about the process, right? So you have to be flexible enough to iterate, right? Be fast to pilot. If things don't work, pivot, right? And I think that is one of like tenets and frameworks that you could adopt. But really, there's no step 1 to step 10. Then I'll guarantee you a good startup. So unfortunately, there isn't something like that. But really, there are a lot of frameworks out there, and for you to experiment which one works for your idea, your startup, your business.
Thank you so much for that question, and thank you so much, Mr. Tan, for answering those questions. I hope that gave you a greater insight